Welcome, everyone. This is the PartsVu Xchange Talks Boating podcast. Here we chat about all things boating with marine industry professionals and enthusiasts who spend all the time they can out on the water.
Hey, this is Tonia Becker, and I'm your host for today's episode of PartsVu Xchange Talks Boating. I'm joined by my guest, Shelley Tubaugh, the Vice President of Marketing, and Christian Carraway, Product Designer for Grady-White. Grady-White is well known in the marine industry for being dedicated to the ultimate boating experience. For Grady-White, this ultimate experience is rooted in safety, knowledge, and comfort. We'll unpack each of these areas and discuss how advancing technologies and progress in engineering and material science are facilitating a lot of exciting progress. Just to set the stage a bit, could you each tell our listeners about your roles at Grady-White and how long you've been with the company? Shelley, why don't we start with you?
All right. Well, I've been with the company 33 years, and my current role is Vice President of Marketing, but I've also spent time in our purchasing department, the Human Resources department, and my longest stint was with the sales and the customer relations department. So I really have my grounding there, working with our customers and working towards that ultimate satisfaction.
Awesome. Hey, Christian, what about you?
Yeah, so I'm more on the product design, as you said, product designer here. I've been here for 10 years. I'm still the new guy after 10 years, which says a lot about our company and our employee and retainment, especially at a leadership level. But my day-to-day involvement is with new product design, research, and development, always looking forward.
I think one of technology's greatest contributions to boating has been helping to manage the complexity of boating, whether it's safety concerns, performance, maintenance, or, all manners of things that you need to be aware of and manage when you're boating. Christian, when you look back over the last 10 years, where have the most significant areas of progress been?
Yeah, looking back, like I said, I've been in the industry for 10 years. So when I look back, I'm really looking back to the beginning of my experience. And what's wild to me is how big things have gotten, especially outboard powered boats. I remember almost 10 years ago going down to Fort Lauderdale, and there was a 42-foot outboard powered boat debuted, and I thought, that's crazy. How is there enough power for that? Who's going to buy a boat that big? And now fast forward 10 years, and we have a 45-footer that we built here with 1,700 horsepower on the back, powered by quad Yamaha 425s. But there's boats out there in the industry up to 65 feet long that are outboard powered. So really what's been crazy to me over the past 10 years is how boats have grown in scale, and then the horsepower that's had to grow with the scale of those boats. So it's all kind of grown together. And so just to add on to that, now people are driving these boats, right? People that have driven smaller boats traditionally, I say smaller, 30 footers, maybe 35 footers. Now they're jumping up to 45 footers, maybe 50 footers. So the technology to be able to control these boats has really advanced rapidly over just the last 6-7 years. Advancements from Yamaha in joystick control, autopilot, set point, all these features that we can talk about a little more in detail if we want to. But bottom line is, with the scale of the boats and the horsepower on these boats growing so rapidly, the technology to be able to control them has had to advance with it. And it really has, which has been great for the industry.
It's incredible. I think, just to your point, looking at the advancements or the increase in size of outboard motors, it's remarkable that a 60-foot boat is being powered by an outboard motor. I think, what did Yamaha just launch, a 450 horsepower engine?
425 is their biggest right now.
Yeah. It's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, and we've got boats, like I said, that run quad configurations, triple configurations, twin configurations. But when you put 425s together, 1,700 horsepower. But some of the boats are so big, they really need that to be able to give the performance that we want for our customers.
And has those increased horsepower engines provided Grady more flexibility to they've kind of gone hand in hand, right? Increasing the engine horsepower allows you to create bigger boats that are horsepowered, that are Yamaha, or that are outboard horsepowered, right?
Yes, it's all kind of gone together, and it's driven by the market. People have said they want bigger boats. They don't want to compromise or sacrifice any of the performance, and so to get that, we've working with our vendors. We're exclusive Yamaha, and they're an incredible partner. But as our boats have gotten bigger, their motors have gotten bigger, and it's all worked out really well for the consumer.
providing an integrated boating experience has become a big marine industry focus, and I know a focus for Grady-White. Shelley, what does that integrated boating experience mean to Grady-White?
Well, it's funny. Some of the things that Christian was saying really popped in my mind is that, like he said, we really work hard with our partners, our supplier partners like Yamaha and some of the other people to make sure that everything is working together. So we start even with the development process saying this is what we believe is the next thing for our customers, talking to our customers. And then we work with our supplier partners to develop products that meet that integrated need. And then something like our 456, like he was talking about, not only does we work really closely with Yamaha to make sure that the 425s match well with that product, but then also being able to charge the batteries to run all of the complex systems. When you talk about the air conditioning and the sea chest and the sea zone and all of the components that you're working, plus those beautiful electronics everyone wants to put on that really lets you go wherever you want to go. All of those working together have to have the right platforms and are all integrated together. So really, like you said, our goal is together delivering the ultimate boating experience. And that together means working with our supplier partners and then ultimately with the dealers as well to make sure that all those things are covered and working perfectly for that customer on that platform. So it's a real journey and a real collaboration that's really exciting to work on together and see the progress over the years. Like Christian said, I've seen a lot of change. I remember the day when Grady-White didn't hang the engines on the boats. We shipped the boat with just some pre-rigging in it, and the dealer did everything else. And today, when it leaves here, it's a much more complete package, and certainly 20 times more complex with all of those systems. It's more like a house some ways because of the electrical and hot water heaters and color TVs and stoves and refrigerators and freezers and all of that. These are very complex systems, and we have to work really closely with all those partners to integrate it all for the customer.
Many of your boats are nicer than my house. So, Kristen, do you have any thought?
The 456 is something special. Yeah.
Christian, do you have any thoughts on what an integrated boating experience has become to mean?
Yeah, everything has to, as Shelley was saying, everything has to work together. Boats aren't getting any simpler because everybody just has this craving for more creature comforts, more features. They want the boat to do more. And in the process, they want to be able to do less themselves because, again, that enhances the ownership experience, is just making their involvement in making all those things work incredibly simple. So it's the integration of all the systems together that allows you to have the best of both worlds. You can have all the features that you want, and the boat's still just as easy or almost just as easy to operate as when it didn't have those features. And that's where the integration comes into play.
So let's shift for a second to your commitment to providing customers with the knowledge they need. I believe the Captain Grady app is an important tool for knowledge sharing. Christian, could you talk a little bit about this and any other efforts on the knowledge sharing front?
Sure. I mean, when we talk about the ultimate boating experience, I used to say it started with the ultimate boat, but the reality of it is it really starts with when you first go to a dealership and you've decided I may want to buy a boat. And then you go through that process. So from the very beginning of deciding you want a boat, you go to one of our incredible dealers, and then you look at all of our boats and you pick one out. Then you get a great product. And then our dealer and our customer service reps here at the factory, they're going to be with you throughout the entire ownership process. They're going to help show you how to use the boat, how to maintain the boat. And then all the way through when you sell and hopefully buy again. Or maybe you don't sell and maybe that's your forever boat. But where Captain Grady comes in is helping to make that more readily available. All that knowledge and information that our dealers have, our customer relations agents have, it all puts it literally at your fingertips. So it's in either an iPad application or a smartphone, and you can pull it up, and it's got all kinds of how-to videos. How do I dock my boat? How do I tie it off to the dock properly? It's got startup and shutdown procedures, which are really great on, again, some of these boats that have more complex features and amenities and systems. It'll pull up a physical checklist, and you can go down, okay, what's the first thing I do? Turn the batteries on. What's the second thing I do? And you can literally go down and check all the boxes for how you would start up your boat and then how you would shut down your boat again. And so it's got all kinds of features, but the bottom line is it's getting that knowledge and that experience from the people that have it to the people that need it. And so it's there when you want it.
As we always said, it's an onboard tool that can be there with the customer 24/7, even if his dealer couldn't be there. And then backed up by our customer relations departments available for people too. But having Captain Grady, he's right there. He can tell you even how to troubleshoot something if it's not working the way it should be and what you should check on that. Has the owner's manual for both your boat and for your engine as part of that download as well in the app. And so again, that integration with the systems, we try to make sure we cover all those systems for your boat and get it as specific as we need to for each one of the models. And we think it's been pretty successful. And the really interesting thing is we started that back in 2013. So it is one of a kind. There's a lot of other apps out there that maybe can have you check your battery life or your location of your boat or some of the other things. But this was really a tool, just like Christian said, to be there 24/7 with the customer when he needed an answer right now.
It's great that it's integrated. I mean, there's so many boating apps. There are so many boating apps that have popped up. I mean, your phone can be filled with these apps, and it becomes pretty difficult to it's just so much easier to see see information all in one place. Yeah. So, I mean, knowledge and safety, I think it's fair to say go hand in hand. And as we all settled into the realities of the pandemic last year, boat sales went through the roof. There were a lot of brand new boaters on the water, and unfortunately increased accident rates have reflected this reality. Grady-White is well known for its commitment to safety. And in your view, what are some of the most important areas of marine safety, and how is Grady-White responding to these issues? I don't know which one of you wants to start.
I'll start, and then Christian could go in the more technical pieces maybe. From the very beginning, Grady-White has always adhered to the NMMA, the National Marine Manufacturers Association standards, which is also tied in with the ABYC standards, and everything from making sure our team members have PFDs on when we go out for shoots or for tests, making sure that our photography and things like that, from my perspective, shows that safety. Even that part of it is really important, and we're behind all those initiatives. We work really closely with CETO and Boat US just to make sure that we, people are taking classes for education and all those kinds of things. And then, of course, we build in the safety features, which Christian can speak to even more. But basically, Grady-Whites are filled with foam flotation. They are unsinkable boats. That's the number one first thing we do. The whole design and the safety of how it handles in rough conditions makes it a more safe boat performance-wise too. And then the design team, how they design all the interior features as well. You can speak to some of that too, Christian.
Yeah, well, we've got the benefit of listening, being able to listen to our customer feedback, our dealer feedback, and most of us also have boats that we use ourselves. So we take all that time and knowledge and information from actual use out on the water, and then we incorporate that not only into our new designs, but into our current model line. Each year when we do a model year upgrade and we start building the next year's model line, we're reviewing every single model to see what we can do to enhance it and make it better for our customer, obviously safer if there's something if there's an opportunity that we can take advantage of there. But as far as safety, Shelley touched on several of the things. We've got true self-bailing cockpits, all of our cockpits, live wells, fish boxes, everything drains directly overboard. We don't rely on batteries, float switches, pumps, anything mechanical or technical. It all just drains with gravity. And I tell customers all the time, if we ever have a problem with gravity, we've got bigger problems than the boat sinking. But we never want a customer to have to worry about safety. When you're thinking about the ultimate boating experience, safety, obviously they have to be conscious when they're the way in which they use the boat. But as far as the boat itself and the way it's designed and the way it's built, we never want the customer to have to think about have any concerns with regards to the safety. Now, when it does come to the customer and the way they use the boat, it does go back to the knowledge part, the education piece. And what really helps, we touched on the technology earlier that's available to help control these boats. That's key for a new user, a new boater, or a boater who's stepping up to a bigger boat for the first time, which is in essence almost a new boater. If you go from a 20-footer to a 30-footer, it's like being on the water for the first time. It feels totally new. So the technology that's come out in the past, we'll say 5 to 10 years from Yamaha, from some of the other manufacturers, has really made driving a boat and docking a boat, which can be one of the most complicated parts of driving a boat, much, much simpler. With the joystick, it's very, very intuitive to a new user. I want the boat to go sideways. I push the joystick sideways. Now, you still have to learn how to, take into consideration wind, current, other factors that are always going to be out there. But it's incredibly intuitive, even to someone who's just stepping on a boat for the first time. And then we've got the set point technology, drift point, fish point, stay point, where you can literally push a button and say, I want the boat to stay right here. And the boat does the work for you. It maneuvers the engines, it controls the thrust, it takes care of all that. So if I pull up to, just for example, a fuel dock, and I'm waiting for my turn because the fuel dock is full, I can just stay a safe distance away and push stay point, and it's going to hold the heading of my boat and the GPS location of my boat. And so it's really doing a lot of the work for me. Whereas if I'm a new boater, that could be a difficult scenario or situation to be in. So a lot of the technology that's been developed that revolves around making the boats easier to drive, easier to control, has really contributed to them being safer, in my opinion.
But we do have the things that are intrinsic in how we design our boats too, in addition to the self-bailing and the other things I mentioned. But even a lot of the writers, they'll get on our boats to review them, and they'll say, Grady-White has a handrail exactly where you need it everywhere. This is a really concrete thing that when you're out on a boat and it's a little bit of a sloshy day, to have a handrail right where you need it when you're trying to maneuver, especially when you're trying to fish, having those kind of things, having a real tow rails in the boats for leaning over. Again, that's not new technology, but it's still something that a lot of manufacturers don't include. They have not decided that that's a safety feature they need to build in, but we always put those in the boats that we feel like that's going to be a needed feature for them. Just simple things like that. And even though this is one of those things, I'm a fisherman, maybe I don't think about this, but having even a place to put your cold drink of whatever sort down when a fish goes off is really important. You got to set that down. You don't slosh anything around. You've got everything, all your gear stored away. We have all the storage. Everything's secure. You don't have stuff flying off your boat when you're trying to run somewhere. Those simple things that take intuitive planning, like he said, because we use our boats, we're out on the boats, we know what our customers do their boats, and we listen, really makes a difference.
Yeah, we've got a prototype that we're testing right now, and it had a lot of handrails to begin with, and after using it for a month or so, we're adding more handrails to it, because just in using the boat, we said, hey, it would be great if we had a rail here for whatever reason, or it'd be great if we had a rail here. And the bottom line is, if there's added value or benefit to the customer, we're gonna include it.
It's technology and attention to detail, really, right? I mean, and testing and refining, it sounds like.
It's definitely a combination of all that. I mean, our boats, we've got a lot of tried, true techniques, processes, and materials we've used for a long time. Some of the foam flotation, other things we talked about. But then we've also got the new technology that's being added in that we're keeping up with as it's constantly evolving. We're working to integrate that into the boats. And so really our product is the perfect combination of the tried and true materials and designs, the elements that we know work and work very well, and all the new features that we're adding in.
I was talking to a Grady boater the other day, and he was just explaining that he's not as young as he used to be, and being jostled around as as you might be when you're offshore in some other boats. That his Grady is a very comfortable ride, and that's what he loves about it. He just can't. The being jostled around isn't fun anymore. Like maybe it was when you're 25 or whatever age. You kind of touched on your hull design, Christian, earlier in our conversation. Can you just talk about that in a little bit more depth?
Sure. So our CV2 hull design is another one of those elements that has been around for a while, and it's really proven itself to be superior to anything else on the market. And the CV2, it just stands for Continuously Variable V. It refers to the dead rise on the bottom of the hull. And we've got, at this point, so many models with millions and millions of hours on them from, thousands of customers. And we've got all that feedback. It's something we know works and works really, really well. And to me, that's one of the most important parts of any boat design. I like to, compare it to a house. The foundation of the house is the most important thing. You build everything else on top of it. In the case of a boat, we start with the CV2 hull and we build everything else in it. If you don't start with a great hull design, there's only so much you can do to make a great boat inside of it. And so it's just, like I said, it's really been proven. A lot of companies will say their hulls run, soft, dry, stable at rest or at slow speeds. A lot of the things that we claim, our customers sell our hulls and our boats for us, which is really, I'm sure it makes Shelley's job a little bit easier. But
Yes. Well, I was just thinking, Christian, there's the 456 picture behind your head, but that bow flare is one of those things, and the way that the shape cuts through the ocean, it makes the waves peel back, that it's really truly a soft, dry ride. Then we have enough stability at the back that when you do settle down to troll, that's nice and easy. Or if you're just cruising, going to a cocktail cruise, whatever you use your boat for, you use the hull every single time. So that foundation picture is really the right thing. And because it is an award-winning hull, because for our category, we won the J.D. Power Award every time it was done in the marine industry, and that was one of the foundational pieces, was the hull ride. And so that's what we could say. We know that overall, that is the performance that we have, and again, that is what we start with, and that's the first safety feature that you use every time you step on the boat.
I know we talked about handrails and tow rails and the hull. Are there any other creature comforts that Grady owners really seem to love that you can think of?
Oh, yeah, plenty. We could probably talk for a couple hours about it if you wanted to. But, I was just thinking about the hull design. The other thing that's really great about ours is traditionally they're a little bit beamier. So and again, I'll reference a house because everybody has a house. But a house, when you buy one, you look at square footage, right? Which is a product of length and width. That gives you the space inside. But with a boat, you mostly just look at the length. But let's just say 37-foot boats are not the same. Our 37-foot traditionally is, on average, I'd say about 1.5 feet or 2 feet wider than most other boats on the market at that length. And so when you think about having an extra 2 feet of width multiplied by the entire 37-foot length of the boat, it really adds up to a lot more space inside to work with. And we fill every nook and cranny with something that gives the customer value, whether it's an extra feature, extra storage. You can never have enough storage. You can never have enough cup holders. These are complaints we've never gotten. No one's ever said too many cup holders or too much storage. And everything just gets to be bigger. When you look at our fish boxes in the back, and on our bigger models, they're refrigerated, so you can thermostat control them. They can be freezer boxes, refrigerator boxes, or just storage. But they're bigger. They're bigger than most competitors because of that added beam. We can just make them wider. So all those features there's more features, more creature comforts, and then they're bigger just by product of our boats being beamier. And then going back to the exceptional attention to detail, we could jump into something like our cushions, our foam buildup on our cushions. We're going to go very much into depth when we're designing just one seat, because we know the bottom level is going to be a special reticulated type of foam so that water sheds out easily. We know that we want a certain, soft density foam where you're actually sitting. We want a harder density foam where your legs are. We want the angle of the foam to cradle you in the seat almost like it would in an automobile, in a car. And we're going to pick the exact thread that we want because we know that it's got to be UV stable. So it's just every small aspect of a seat cushion, which most people would just sit in and go, this feels good. And they'd never think about all the details and all the time that went into designing it. But we apply that to every single element of the boat's design. That level of thought and intense focus is applied to really every element of the boat.
It's incredible. The things that seem simple are often some of the most complex things.
We walk out of many design meetings and say, we'll talk for an hour and a half about an incredibly small detail. And we'll walk out of the meeting and go, well, our customers won't understand what just happened here. They'll never know about it. But when you take a bunch of meetings like that and a bunch of small details, they all add up. They all add up to a product that is superior.
I would say the way it manifests itself, especially, is they'll say a Grady-White just feels different. The minute you step on board, the way everything fits together, and then when you ride in it, it all just feels solid and feels comfortable, and you always feel safe. Those are words that our customers have said over and over and over in our customer reviews or videos that we do with them, and those are that you can, even though they may not know exactly what caused that feeling, That's what it is. It's all those elements that we work so hard to put together. They can feel the difference.
I think that's the characteristic of good design, right? I mean, the end customer doesn't really know why it's so great, but it just is, and that's Christian and his team doing their jobs well, I think. So
Well, we've got an incredible team here in engineering. I don't mind bragging about them, but I mean, our electrical engineers, structural engineers, naval architects, design consultants, you fill in the blank. We've got the best here, and that's what it takes. That's really what it takes to develop the types of products that we have.
So what do you think is next for the marine industry? What do you think is coming down the pike? Any technology that might be exciting, in the upcoming years, near future?
Technology is certainly growing on an exponential curve at this point. If you look at how much it's changed over the last 10 years versus the previous 100 years, it's on that exponential growth curve. And I've been privy to some things that unfortunately I can't talk about. But from a control standpoint, the technology that we've got available now is just the beginning. So boats are just going to get easier and easier to operate because, again, that's what contributes to that comfort. For an experienced captain, but certainly for a less experienced captain, just being able to get on a boat and worry less about anything, whether it's something on the boat that you've got to turn on and off, or if it's physically driving the boat, docking the boat, trailering the boat, what have you. But the technology is rapidly developing to make the boats even easier to operate. And then the other thing is that builds in the safety. We touched on the safety earlier, but really what we want is safety built in. Because we'll do our best to train everybody and to give everybody the knowledge and experience that they need to be able to boat safely. But anytime we can build in safety and we just know it's there, then that's obviously the best case scenario. So there'll be advances that will help us build in even more safety to the boats.
Right. Any thoughts from your end, Shelley?
I think the other place there's a great potential for growth is that integration. As more and more that all of the systems keep working together even more seamlessly, there will be just a greater opportunity to, again, just make it all work better so people can use their boats even more often. The easier it gets, the more integrated it is, then that'll make it easier and people can go out and enjoy it more often. And like you said earlier, what we all learned in the pandemic is being able to go outdoors, being able to have the freedom to experience nature and the beauty and something about the peace that you get on the water, which really it's hard to get anywhere else. The more people can do that, the better our quality of life will be. So that's a great goal. It's a great thing to be a part of.
It's awesome. And the easier this gets, the more boaters and the more expensive slips are going to be here for me in Chicago. So that's the only downside of it, speaking selfishly. But
I'll move here to North Carolina. We still have a few left. Come on.
And we're building more. Building more, as I'm sure they are in Chicago.
Yes, exactly. So before I let you both go, just a quick non-Grady question. Where are some of your favorite places to boat? Shelley, you want to share that with us?
I just have a little 23-footer, which is just right for me at this moment in time. But I love to boat on the Pamlico River because there's lots of really uninhabited places, so you can uninhabited, excuse me, and you can go anywhere and just ride up and down the river, and that's fun. Or you can find a little secluded beach and hang out there, or we can jump in the boat and take it all the way to Ocracoke Island and hang out there for the weekend and come back. So or even take the intercoastal down and go to Oriental or Morehead City and down that New Bern. Even lots of places to go easily on the boat. So that's fun for me. But I've been really lucky that I've been able to visit with customers all over the country, and I've fished in Seattle and Vancouver, British Columbia, and Connecticut, and Massachusetts, and New York, and California, and Florida. So I've been on a Grady-White boat in a lot of different places, and all of them are good.
How about you, Christian?
Yeah, that's actually, I like that last part. All of them are good. I've never boated anywhere I didn't enjoy myself, but being here in Eastern North Carolina, where Shelley's at and the factory's here, she pretty much took all my answers because I love to boat locally too. But the benefit of where we are is being in Greenville, we've got a river, And if you follow the river, it opens into the Sound. And if you follow the Sound, it opens into the ocean once you get past Ocracoke and the Outer Banks. So and with the Intercoastal Waterway, we can go north or south. We can get anywhere from where we are, which is really neat. And they're all different boating experiences. Riding in the river is totally different than riding in the Sound, which is totally different than going offshore or just cruising the Intercoastal Waterway. So I enjoy all of it locally, and that's where most of my opportunities to boat are. But one thing that's really unique to me that I've always enjoyed is being down in Miami, and totally different from here. No uninhabited areas there. They're all uninhabited. But having that skyline when you're just riding through, especially some of the no-wake zones, so you're just going slow, maybe you're having a cocktail or a beer, and all the buildings are lit up, maybe just as the sun's setting or just after it's set, and you've got that beautiful skyline right on the water. There's something about, I don't fish as much. I do enjoy fishing, but I also enjoy relaxing. And so there's just something very relaxing to me about that, because there's all the busy hustle and bustle and culture of Miami, and then you're out on the boat adjacent to it, but usually very quiet and comfortable. So, and it's very different from Eastern North Carolina. So that's kind of, it's fun. It's fun for a change.
That's my favorite thing about boating.
How about you?
Well,
where's your
Lake
favorite
Michigan?
place?
I mean, and for the same reason that that Christian was saying, it's just surreal being just a little bit offshore in Lake Michigan here in Chicago, and just seeing the city, and it looks so calm and just kind of regal, but there's a lot going on. So it's I really enjoy that. And then my parents live on a little lake in Ohio called Lake Lochengrin, Southwest Ohio, and we have a lot of fun. It's a small little lake, but take a pontoon boat out and mess around. It's fun. So those are my two favorite. So I really appreciate you both being here today. It was a fun conversation, and so impressed with the Grady-White organization and your products, and of course both of you. So it's been really fun talking. Thank you.
Good. Well, thanks for having us on, and all the best to you guys at PartsVu too.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the PartsVu Xchange Talks Boating podcast. Are you thinking about upgrading your boat's navigation? Or are you interested in the latest marine technology? Check out our wide selection of GPS navigation and fish finder units from leading marine brands like Garmin, Humminbird, Ray Marine, and more at PartsVu.com. Use the coupon code PVTalksNav for 5% off your order, a special perk for our podcast listeners. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram for boating knowledge, to keep in touch with the PartsVu community, and for special sales and promotions. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast, and check out the show notes for the coupon code just mentioned, more information about PartsVu and the products we offer, as well as our boating blog, the PartsVu Xchange. And a big thanks to Mind for performing the original music featured within this podcast.